Emmerdale viewers were left stunned by a dramatic cliffhanger in tonight's episode, with many now asking who was responsible for abducting Lewis Barton. During the episode, Vinny caught Lewis off guard by revealing that he had arranged a spontaneous getaway to Madeira, with their flight due to leave later that same day. Finding the sudden plan difficult to process, Lewis became anxious and told Vinny that he no longer wanted to go, encouraging him to travel alone instead. "Go and enjoy yourself," he said. However, after a conversation with his brother Ross, Lewis reconsidered. Ross advised him to think about whether he felt as relaxed and secure with Vinny abroad as he did at home. He reassured Lewis that if things became overwhelming, they could simply skip any excursions, find somewhere peaceful, and spend quiet time together. Eventually, deciding to join the trip, Lewis waited for a taxi to arrive, but before he could leave, a van pulled up and two masked figures seized him, bundling him away. Upcoming episodes reveal that Lewis has been taken by a mysterious woman named Kylie, a character viewers have not encountered before. Held captive, Lewis fears for his safety as his unstable captor demands a ransom and sends Ross a chilling message. Meanwhile, another major revelation emerges when Dr. Liam Kavanagh confirms that Kev is actually Lewis's biological father. Determined to rescue his brother, Ross sets out to track down the ex-con, believing he could be the key to bringing Lewis home. According to Emmerdale insiders, Kylie warns Ross that Kev must return something known as Penny or face serious consequences. Recognizing how dangerous the situation has become, Liam persuades Claudette to reveal Kev's whereabouts. Liam and Ross eventually locate him selling cakes from a van, although his hostile attitude is far less appealing than the sweet treats he is offering. When confronted, Kev claims that Penny is a diamond he had already sold to a pawn shop. However, it soon becomes clear that he still possesses the valuable gem and has been wearing it all along. As Lewis remains trapped inside Kylie's house, Ross receives another threatening message involving scalpels. Realizing the urgency of the situation, he contacts Kev and insists that the diamond must be handed over before the day ends. A source teased, Kylie is completely serious. While delivering her demands, she reveals that she spent 8 years in Holloway prison, which is hardly reassuring for Lewis's chances. After finally obtaining the diamond from Kev, Ross knocks him unconscious, furious that he could have secured Lewis's release much earlier. Ross later meets Kylie in the hope of exchanging the diamond for Lewis's freedom, but whether Kev will ruin the rescue remains to be seen. Charity Dingle's long-hidden secrets may finally come to light in upcoming Emmerdale episodes. For several months, Charity has been keeping the truth about baby Layla's parentage under wraps. Layla is currently being brought up by Sarah Sugden and her husband Jacob, who believe the little girl is their biological child after Charity agreed to carry the baby as a surrogate. What Sarah and Jacob do not know, however, is that Charity had a secret affair with Ross Barton and later discovered she was carrying his child. Although Layla is actually the daughter of Charity and Ross, the pair have kept the truth hidden. Charity's husband, Mackenzie Boyd, has no idea about the affair or Layla's real identity, but that could soon change. Recent spoilers suggest that Charity is continuing to struggle in the aftermath of her traumatic experience. She was sexually assaulted by Dr. Todd after enduring weeks of blackmail at his hands. Although Charity initially went to the police, she later withdrew her complaint after being told there was not enough evidence to proceed. Following the incident, Dr. Todd left the village, leaving Charity to cope alone. Unable to tell her loved ones what really happened, Charity has instead convinced everyone that she is suffering from postnatal depression. However, Mackenzie starts to believe there is more going on when Charity suffers an emotional breakdown and suddenly vanishes. As her family become increasingly concerned about her well-being, Cain Dingle tries to persuade Charity to open up to him. She refuses to confide in him, leaving Mackenzie feeling helpless and unsure how to support his wife. Later, Mac turns to Chas Dingle for support and shares his worries with her. Chas is left burdened by guilt, knowing that Charity has not been honest with her husband. Chas already knows the truth about baby Layla, Charity's theft, and the blackmail she endured from Dr. Todd. While Chas remains unaware of the sexual assault itself, she does know that Mackenzie has been kept completely in the dark about Charity's betrayal involving Ross. When Mac attempts to comfort Charity once more, she becomes overwhelmed and cannot cope with being around him. She drives away and ends up beside a lake, ignoring repeated calls from her worried husband. Mac soon alerts the family that Charity is missing, prompting a desperate search. However, despite their efforts, nobody is able to find her. Terrified that something terrible may have happened, Mac decides he has no choice but to contact the police. As he explains the situation to officers, he starts to realize that he may not know the full story. Suspicious that important information is being kept from him, Mac confronts Chas and demands to know whether she is hiding something. With concern for Charity growing and tensions reaching breaking point, the question remains: will Chas finally reveal the truth about baby Layla and the blackmail ordeal to Mac? Moira Dingle was dealt another emotional blow in tonight's episode of Emmerdale as Cain's cancer storyline took a devastating turn. After discovering that Cain had made a move on Charity while she was serving time in prison, an angry Moira confronted her husband. However, their tense exchange soon led to another shocking revelation. The episode opened with Moira alone at home following her row with Cain. It emerged that he had spent the night sleeping on Chas's sofa before eventually returning to Wishingwell Cottage. Determined to clear the air, Moira insisted they needed to talk. Cain, however, admitted he wasn't in the mood for a discussion, but Moira refused to let the matter drop. She reminded him that his behaviour had been unacceptable and demanded an explanation, although Cain insisted she wouldn't understand his reasons. Moira pleaded with him to open up, pointing out that they could receive important news about his health at any moment and that they needed to resolve their issues before then. Eventually, Cain admitted that his recent cancer diagnosis had influenced his actions and led him to behave recklessly. As he apologized for hurting her, Moira began to soften towards him. Their conversation was then interrupted by a call from the hospital. Later, Cain returned from his appointment with upsetting news. Doctors had informed him that his cancer had spread locally and that radiotherapy would now be required. Trying to remain optimistic, Moira focused on the fact that the illness was still treatable and urged Cain to be thankful that options remained available. However, her relief quickly vanished when Cain revealed that he had decided against undergoing radiotherapy. Explaining his decision, Cain said he had researched the possible side effects and did not want to put himself through the treatment, especially given the difficulties he had already been facing. Concerned, Moira questioned whether his refusal was linked to the emotional and physical changes he had been experiencing. She apologized for previous arguments and reassured him that their relationship was not dependent on intimacy, insisting that all she wanted was for him to stay alive. Despite her heartfelt plea, Cain remained resolute and then dropped another bombshell by announcing that he did not want the rest of the family to know the full truth about his condition. The revelation left Moira devastated, raising the question of whether she can persuade Cain to reconsider before it is too late. Emmerdale is broadcast on ITV1 every weekday at 8 p.m, with episodes also available to watch on ITVX.